Hi there, this is Koiro with a short video, and this time I'm going to show you how this contraption come about. And this is a screen with an HDI, an VGA and a composite video input, and I do think it's based on an iPad mini thingy, I think. And I bought this as a kit on AliExpress, and also the case itself is 3D printed. I found it on the internet. I'm going to do some link thing below, but otherwise you will see here what this is what you get. So let's get cracking and show you how this all fits together. Sometimes I go to AliExpress to find things that I think I want, and I did this during the Christmas time, and now this thingy has arrived a bit late. And this is yeah, some controller thingy to hook up to a smallish display panel. And I just took this out to check if everything was okay, and it does seem like it is. And I do think that this is originally a display that is meant to be used on a iPad mini or something, and it should be complete with all the cables that's needed to connect this up to something. And my plan for this is to hook this up with composite video, and I do think that this will sync just fine with 15625 Hz, 15.6 kilohertz. It also has an HDMI and a VGA input. If that works, I'm not sure. And this display also is possible to get with some touch interface and so on, and maybe some of these connector thingies are for that. I'm not sure, but yeah, this goes in there at least. And I do think that the other end of this is the one that connects here to this keyboard thingy stuff here. Maybe like so. And this also has a small infrared receiver and a small LCD remote thingy. And this connects up to this edge connector here, and I'm not sure which way it goes, but it's marked with some black paint and stuff, so probably it just plugs in like so this way. And you also have what appears to be some jumpers here, but I'm not sure. And this is called TTL output, and this is the LVDS output. So this is probably an universal interface board that is also used for other stuff. And it does have a Realtek chip on it, it seems. It only seems like Realtek because this logo, but I'm not sure what it is. RTD 2660 P9A something. Display controller probably. And this is the PH2024 a 2X11 FN something. And you also have some markings here for 12 volt on off, not connected, and ground. So probably we should connect power to this one, but we also have this power connector here and a USB connector, so this probably runs just fine out of 5 volt. And when I ordered this, it actually looks like the plastic has been off, but I don't think it's many scratches on the display itself. But I don't think there is any protective sheet on this. If not, the digitizer is connected, but I don't think it is, because the card with the digitizer and touchscreen was much more expensive. But when I ordered this, I browsed on the internet and I found a mold for this, and this is a 3D printed part with a bezel, a small case for some electronics, and probably the foot connects like so, something, maybe it's just a table stand like so. I'm not completely sure, but at least I printed this and it come out quite decent. It's only printed in PLA, and there also is some buttons here that is just printed in one piece, and I do think we might need some adapter thingy or something here. Or does this, I can disconnect this one. There is no hole for this infrared contraption, at least. Oh yes, no, there is this tiny hole here, but it doesn't line up with this one, and the button seems to line up. Maybe I can just desolder this one and mount it another place. At least it won't go on like it is. So maybe I should just fire up the pencil and desolder it. Because I have to test to see if these buttons on the front here, because they don't travel too much, I do think they will break off if you use them too much. But the 3D print actually made the spaces around these so they are just hooked up in the back here, and they are possible to press. I don't have any desoldering braid here, I think. So maybe I just get some copper wire and try to desolder this with that. Normally you can use this as desoldering, but you need some flux for this to suck up. This is not the right way to do desoldering. Yeah, at least it's off. Yeah, I'm able to push down these buttons, so I'm just going to check what screw I need to fasten this, and fasten this on like so. And then it's the display. How does that fit in here? These screw holes seems kind of tight, but they are tapped on one side. Does this fit? Yeah, it seems to fit. It's a bit not even in the case because it goes further to that side than it goes to this side. You are able to see it through the bezel here. And I wonder if that is some fault in the 3D print or something, because here the standoffs are clearly made to be making space for the display, but actually there is a slope here for this, and when you are looking at the bezel inside here, the space is actually bigger on this side, so I do think that this is quite correct. I do think it should be like that. But what is keeping this down? Is there supposed to be just some standoff thingy? Should we use double-sided tape, or what should that be? I'm not sure, but double-sided tape, if I have the very thin kind, I can just test with a small piece in each corner. Some tape here already. Yeah, I will just try to find some tape. I did not find some tape. I did find some very thick double-sided or with tapered glue but not both sides, but I also found some of this foam here, so I do think that it's possible just to keep this in place just with the foam. I don't think it fits totally into this. I do think it's a bit wider than the maybe it's not wise to push too much on the display, but it do seem like the tape around the edges here is making this a bit wider than it ought to be. But even though if it's not fitting perfectly, it will be good enough. And also I do think that this one should fit in here. How does that fit? This is a bit bigger than the opening. It's nothing wrong with that in itself, but I do think it looks a bit higher. Maybe it's not meant to be used with this card with all the different type of connections. Because this does not fit. It almost goes in like so, but it's a bit wider, but this way it won't fit at all. And it also seems to be, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter that much if I fasten it this way. Let's see how that goes. I was thinking just like so, because there is some space here. They should connect to the interface board, so as if this is this way. I was thinking if I mount it like so, I might be able to slide it, but it's there is actually no way I'm going to fit this. I do have to take away some piece here, and I do see here that there is some markings here for a hole. For this it's probably not possible to see it, but it lines up with this in the back here, but yeah, it also lines up in the front, but there is not enough space to make it, so I do have to make a small cut on the side here. I wonder if everything will break, because this is printed with some, it's not a massive print, it's either honeycomb or some other This is the way it goes when you are using somebody else's print, but I do think we are off to not the worst start on this. I do think I need to cut off a bit more, but this actually is going to work. I also need to fit this one, so I do think I will, to not damage the cable, I will of course this is not the best, because it will be some sharp edges here, I think. I will find a front cutting tool and just make short do with this. Yeah, not the nicest thing I ever done, but not the ugliest either. So something like that, and this one has to be fastened there, and this one then try to cut some of the original holes. I might have to move them a bit, but that will actually work, I think. And this one looks like it will fit with 4mm screws, but there are some, I need to use some washers for this, because there is some vias on this PCB, so it's not wise to just fasten it. So I need some of these bakelite or plastic washers that was on the old PCBs, or I need some plastic screws. So I need to get that, and I also need to solder in some wires for this, or it was this way. And there is no way that this is going to fit like so, and you also have to go through the bezel with this. So I need to find some other way to to fasten this, and there is no good space in this, so maybe the best thing to do is just to make some hole and make it on the outside. Just make it stick out like so. I'm not sure, because there is no space here on the bezel for this. I can of course also let go of the remote and only use this one, but I'm not sure if I do have everything that is on this. You do have 5 buttons on this, and you only have, or 6 with the power, and you only have 5 buttons here, so maybe I need to have the remote thingy. But of course we can just try to mount this, yeah, just without this, and I do have to take some chances here, so I do have to let go of this. And let's check that my desk is clean so that I don't put anything underneath here. What kind of connector is this? Does it has a release mechanism, or? Yeah, I don't see a mechanism in this, so I do believe that it's just a punch-in thingy. Like so. This actually needs to be turned around for this, and that is not good for this kind of cable. But there is no other way to get this out of here, so yeah, I need to drill the holes here first. Yeah, let's see, I've drilled some holes here. Let's see if they fit to anything. Fit very well, and I know the reason, and it's my own fault because I drilled the hole a bit too optimistic into the safe sides, and that affects this thingy here. It's rubbing against this connector here. Yeah, at least now I will be able to use some of the holes, but I don't have screws for everything, so that might be a good thing. Or I do have screws, but I do think that my bag with these plastic horse threaded screws, that they are down in my shed. So the board is going in like so, and yeah, that's not bad. And about this board, here I need some bigger screws. These are 3mm. They are kind of loose. Maybe I should try with some screws with the normal threads for PCs. They are a bit, yeah, they are good for screwing things into plastics, but I do have the problem where I do need some washers here. Yeah, we are just making our own threads in the plastic here, and that's working okay, but you do of course have the problem with that we need some washer thingies, and also these screws may be a bit thick on the head, but that can be fixed. But I don't have any good washer thingies here, so I'm just going to cover this up with some tape. This is plastic masking tape, the kind they use on car chassis and stuff. If I can fix some hole into this, yeah, I think that will be just fine. Yeah, but I think I will have to find some screws with a countersinked head to use on this. Yeah, I think that works, and maybe I should connect the wire before I fasten this. Cable management will be a bit tight in this. Yeah, that will do for this one. And this flat cable will have to do with the space it has. And I don't think that will be a problem, but now I need to get some of these foam thingies in here. This will be perfect. Do I have more that is that exact thickness? This is of course things I've salvaged from getting ICs in the mail. This is a softer piece, so that will do here in this corner. And this is a harder piece. It won't make do. I need something a little bit thicker than this, or very much softer. This is of course very soft. So for now I'm just going to do it like so. And I will just try to screw this in place, and I haven't tested the screws yet, but this is normal 3mm countersinked screws. And I have not done anything to Maybe I need to take a 3mm drill and fix these holes, because they seem a bit small. I wonder if that was enough. No, it was not. And do I need to make any adjustment to these holes to be able to fit screw in them? I do have this one that is maybe a bit better for making threads. No, they should be good enough. So I do think that is just to get the thread started. That is the problem. And that is also not the problem with this one. So I just need a bit bigger drill bit to take out these holes. Or I can maybe just use this one. Foamy thingies are still in place, so give it a go again. Not all the same screws everywhere, but maybe this just works fine. And yeah, the cables on this side looks okay, and hopefully the on the other side looks okay. And do I get some action here? Yeah, I do hear some clicking noises on this. I will just make some bigger holes in this one. I'm not sure how much is needed, but I at least is going to get this screwed through without resistance. Yeah, and this is normal old-fashioned PC screws. Yeah, so this is how this looks. How am I going to test this? I do need something with composite video source, and of course I can test just with power now to see if anything happens on the screen. Just connect this up to some USB source here, accidentally turning off anything. It lights up and it says no signal. Yeah, I can. It has a red light, so this is on off probably. Okay, brightness, color, saturation and stuff. Yeah. I need to get something to connect this up to, and maybe I can find some Commodore 64 or something. And when I was fumbling about, I actually found this one. And this is one of those rip-off clone thingies with a lot of ripped-off games on them. And I don't remember this exact thingy, but it do have some composite video output. So I just need to make this connected somehow. There is this RF phono in one end, and here I have this 2-pin 3.5mm jack. So I just try to find something to connect that, and I'm also going to check if it actually is lights on this. I do have some of these adapters laying in the basement, but I'm not planning to go into the basement. And there is a glow in this LED, very faint, but it's there. So I'm just going to see if I can find something to hook this up with, otherwise we're going to Yuri rig something. Sometimes we are looking, you don't find anything, and sometimes you find a treasure trove, and I found this that is exactly what I'm looking for. As I do have this now to connect into here. It should be a solid connection. This is still green, by the way. This is no red, but I don't know how we select the source on this. No, it says HDMI, no signal. It was first. It's very quick to leave this menu, so I don't have much. It's turning itself off after just a short while. Oh, what do you know? I do have a picture here. I will try to turn off the overhead light so that we can catch this on camera. Oh, the light now was very flickery. I'm not sure if this was a good idea. What if I turn on the other light? Yeah, it's not a very good picture, but these seldom are. It's almost not readable here, the writing. But I'm not sure here what everything of these are. We take this crazy thingy. Yeah, it's working just fine, and see if I can get the menu here, and it's the brightness and contrast, but I'm not sure how I enter into the menus here. Because this just changes color. Okay, like so, and brightness. And this just changes, and brightness. Turns up the contrast and brightness. This is down and this is probably up then. Yeah, but at least for now I can conclude that this is actually working. And this little enclosure thingy, it does have its limitations. You see some of the PCB and stuff back here, but otherwise it's actually working. So I will just wrap this short one up now. At least mission accomplished. Yeah, I said I wrapped this one up, but I obviously did not. I drilled a hole and I made the cable longer, and I placed the infrared sensor here. And I was meant to film all that, but somehow I messed this up. And I also put the battery here in the battery holder for this one. It actually stated that it should be one of these 2025s, but I didn't have anything other than a CR2032. The only difference is that it's some millimeters thicker, or fractions of a millimeter thicker, but it fitted good enough, and I am able to turn on and off. I can go into the menu, and I can also do mode select, AV2, VGA, HDMI, and AV1, that is this one. And mode select and video select. Video select does not do anything. And I also get the brightness control up here. If I just hit once on this button on the side, and contrast if I push this button here. So all in all, this is quite the okay build. Yeah, obviously I don't know what a short video is. This is probably 40 minutes or something, I'm not sure. But am I satisfied with this? Yes, I am. And I also checked a bit more. Actually, this whole casing and this fastening thing is actually to fit it on some desktop microscope thingy. So this probably has some other functioning purpose than to be put on a desk like so. So I might have to do something about this leg. But I'm going to put this to use pretty soon actually, because I'm going to do some Commodore 128 repairs. I got one in a box, 128 normal case that I bought some time ago, and a known defect but otherwise overhauled, and I have one 128D from a local collector, and I also have one or two more 128 boards lying around, so I'm going to dig into some 128 boards, and that I'm going to do down in the basement, I think. So that's it for this long, not short video. Please look at some of my older videos. Please hit like and subscribe, and the algorithm really likes it if you put a comment down below. So thanks for watching, see you in the next one.